Welcome back, global executives, international corporate councils, and strategic growth leaders. Today, the entire macroeconomic world is looking at India through a highly aggressive, deeply transformative growth lens, with a staggering GDP trajectory, consistently outperforming every other major economy on Earth, and an expanding domestic market of over 1.4 billion consumers. India is no longer an optional expansion market. It is the ultimate non-negotiable destination for global diversification and capital deployment. However, behind the spectacular economic headlines lies a sobering, highly complex operational truth that every board of directors must face. India remains one of the most bureaucratic and regulatory-intensive corporate ecosystems in the world. In our previous briefings, we unpacked the severe timelines of corporate liquidation and the structural bottlenecks that have forced many promising multinational startups to withdraw, after wasting millions of dollars in corporate capital. Hearing this, many corporate CFOs and cross-border founders reached out to me with intense anxiety. They ask, is it truly impossible for foreign companies to survive without the multi-million-dollar legal budget of a Fortune 500 conglomerate? Today, as an institutional market entry architect who has scaled numerous corporate subsidiaries on the ground, I am here to give you a definitive conclusion: absolutely not. High regulatory barriers do not mean the market is unviable. In global corporate strategy, high barriers to entry mean an absolute lack of unorganized competition. For companies that rush in blind, India is a regulatory labyrinth. But for executive boards who understand the underlying system and weaponize compliance as their legal shield, it becomes an untouched, highly lucrative market. Do not listen to unstructured rumors about local fraud or operational gridlocks. Those who failed did not fail because the Indian market is flawed. They failed because they completely ignored statutory protocols and tried to enforce domestic timelines onto Indian administrative machinery. In this masterclass, we will deconstruct the two most imposing walls. Your global company will face the BIS mandatory certification regime and the fatal under-capitalization foreign exchange trap. Master these two frameworks, and you will insulate your international assets while seamlessly capturing India's massive domestic momentum. Let us dissect the first brick wall: the BIS mandatory certification and anti-dumping controls, in an aggressive push to supercharge localized manufacturing through Make in India initiatives. The Indian government has drastically scaled its quality control orders. What started as strict oversight on heavy industries, like steel, chemicals, and automotive parts, has now aggressively expanded. Today, your consumer electronics, medical tech, smart home devices, renewable energy infrastructure, and even toy manufacturing are deep within the target zone of mandatory BIS certifications. Many foreign supply chain directors face a brutal wake-up call at the port of entry. They complain that Indian customs officials are intentionally freezing their inventory or delaying product approvals out of malicious bureaucracy. But if you look under the hood of those legal disputes, 99% of the time, the error lies entirely with the foreign exporter. They deployed physical inventory onto ships before acquiring formal statutory clearances, relying on unverified local brokers to fix things post-shipment. In modern India, that old-school approach is corporate suicide. To bypass this barrier without burning millions in demurrage charges, you must execute two institutional hacks. First, the ironclad rule of pre-certification before shipment. At least 6 months prior to shipping, your legal team must map your technical specifications against the exact Indian standard metrics. If your specifications mismatch by a single decimal point, your application will be instantly rejected. Presenting flawless, unassailable documentation from day one is your greatest speed tool. Second, secure a validated authorized Indian representative, or AIR. By decree, foreign corporate entities cannot apply directly to BIS. You are legally mandated to appoint an AIR residing permanently within India. Do not appoint a cheap freight forwarder. Your AIR holds immense legal authority and is jointly liable to the government for your product's compliance. Anchor your expansion with an elite corporate advisory firm to handle technical pushbacks with rock-solid legal precedents. Once your product channel is cleared, you must architect the capital flow. This brings us to the biggest financial mistake. Global CFOs commit the trap of under-capitalization. The flawed conventional logic is, let's establish the subsidiary with a bare minimum nominal capital. Once live, we can transfer operational cash from the parent bank account on an as-needed basis to cover payroll and office rent. This specific treasury approach is the equivalent of hugging a live time bomb. India operates under stringent capital control laws, governed tightly by the Foreign Exchange Management Act, known as FEMA, and monitored directly by the Reserve Bank of India. If your subsidiary launches with microscopic capital, the cash will be depleted within 60 days. When payroll is due, your treasury team executes a direct wire under operational support. The moment that wire hits, automated monitoring systems flash red. The government does not recognize arbitrary inflows, since that capital did not enter through formal foreign direct investment channels. The Income Tax Department will instantly reclassify that incoming wire as unreported commercial revenue. They will slap the entire fund amount with a 40% corporate tax bracket, backed by compounding penalty interest. In extreme scenarios, your bank accounts will be completely frozen, paralyzing your entire operation. To neutralize this risk, deploy the 12-month autonomous capital hack. Calculate an airtight operational budget that can sustain your subsidiary for a minimum of 12 full months with zero local revenue. This matrix must include calculations for office leases, salaries, accounting retainers, and marketing spend. Inject this entire consolidated sum on day one as formal share capital, filing the mandatory FCGPR form with the RBI. Capital injected through this legitimate FDI pathway is entirely untouchable by tax audits and fully recognized as deductible expenses. With your capital safely positioned, you enter the phase of continuous monthly compliance. Modern India operates one of the most sophisticated digital tax networks in existence. The Goods and Services Tax, or GST, and the Corporate Withholding Tax, known as TDS, are powered by a massive centralized supercomputing grid called the GSTN. Vendor invoices are matched in real time on government servers with your corporate ledger. There are no loopholes or overrides. If you treat early-stage filings casually, assuming zero revenue filings go unnoticed, you will be instantly locked out of the portal. But this digitalization is a massive win. A 100% digital tax authority means if your accounting partner uploads compliant documentation on the exact statutory dates, the government loses any legal pretext to cross-examine or audit your entity. Everything is dictated by absolute data streams. By employing elite corporate tools and a vetted local accounting partner, your compliance framework becomes an impenetrable defense wall. To my fellow global entrepreneurs and strategic investors, do not allow market, panic, or horror stories to stall your corporate roadmap. Those who failed did so because they lacked respect for India's statutory, sovereignty, and legal protocols. In global expansion, a market with strict enforced rules is a paradise for the highly disciplined hunter. By deploying a flawless BIS pre-certification protocol and structurally funding your subsidiary through an RBI-compliant initial capital base, you completely eliminate tax exposure. India's historic domestic consumption boom becomes your organization's most powerful, predictable global growth engine. If your executive board requires a custom diagnostic on capitalization metrics or a specific BIS compliance manual, tap the strategic consultation link in the description below. Subscribe to our channel to secure continuous access to our institutional series. Architect your expansion safely, protect your capital, and we will see you in the next briefing. Thank you for watching.